Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. Today I'm going to be working on my larch forest. It's the one that I'm calling the Larch Tree-lined Roadway because there's a roadway here. From the side you see that the trees are going down a hill, which is what I wanted, the illusion that I wanted, but I think the hill should top out at about this height and move downward. I don't believe I'm going to have the growth to chop to or to cut to this season. I'm just going to clear it out so as much sunlight can get in there and as many branches that can grow will grow. So let's take a look at this without me in the shot. All right, let me give you a tour around this forest if you've not seen it before. These larch trees have been growing in here just since this growing season, the beginning of this growing season. I put them all together. Early spring, if not late winter, I'm not even sure. Then I replaced them, or I modified the placement a little bit. I moved this tree out and I moved this tree out and did a little modification of that. And every tree is alive. I'm going to take you around the planting so you can see what I'm talking about. I would like the tallest tree to be around this height. So I've got to work on the height of the trees. But there's a lot of living growth in there. There's also a lot of needles that need to be thinned out. There's a tree in the center of this that isn't getting much light at all. And hopefully you can see the roadway. Yeah, you can. And you'll notice a pothole is developing. I'm going to leave that little feature there. And I'm going to look at each one of these trees individually, pluck out the bottom old needles, let light get in, maybe do a little bit of branch selection. Well, yes, definitely do a little bit of branch selection, and get these looking like trees that have been growing together for a while. I think I'm going to start here and work my way around. I'm not going to tackle the height. At least I don't think I'm going to tackle the height issue today. I think that's going to be for next season, meaning early spring when I start to see buds. All right, let's get started. I'll move in on the canopy and on the trees that I'm working on. I'm going to start with this tree, and you'll see all the trees but one I have stabilized with 5 mil wire, maybe 5.5 mil wire, just to straighten them out. They were kind of leaning, so I think I want to, there's nothing biting into the trunks anywhere. This is very loosely applied, but it's doing its job. The trees are quite stable. So I'm going to start with this tree and I'm going to work from the bottom up. So what I want to do is stabilize the branch with my fingers and just pluck out the old needles. It's going to be a messy process, meaning I'm going to have a lot of grounds maintenance at the end of this. Not very good at this. I've watched a master, so I'm a bit intimidated. Here we go. The master did say you could reach in with a pair of tweezers. Got to be careful if the branch is soft. Then I might just break it off. So that's why you got to stabilize the branch as you go. All right, so this is not a good branch to show you branch selection on. But there is one part of this branch that's reaching in to the trees. So I think I can safely take that piece off. There is a bud at the base. This branch right below is dead. There's life on an inner branch here. And the one below it is dead. So the one below it has been dead for a while. I'm just going to all right, so now that's a dead branch. There's nothing wrong with this, but I am going to simplify it. Once again, there's a bud at the base of that. And the hope is that with light getting into this and me plucking out the old needles and there being some buds there, something will grow. And there's a little branch leading into the woods here that I'm going to trim. There's a dead stub here I'm taking off. Now, as you can see, this is going to be a very slow process. And I hope I'm not bending down like this the whole time, but chances are I might be. Boy, I better get faster at this, huh? All right, moving up this tree. I've got something developing here that's quite nice. It will have some interference with the tree next to it, but this tree doesn't have much on it, so something's got to fill in that space. Let me start working on clearing the needles. And I can't imagine that a larch forest isn't littered with larch needles. Okay, I found a position where I can be seated and doing this, so that's good. My back thanks me. And I was looking in here. Can't really see what's going on, so I got to pluck these old needles out. And as I was saying, you know, I'm wondering how to litter this floor, the floor of this planting. And the answer is right here. There's a branch growing upwards that I'll remove. And what is likely on the floor of a larch forest is larch needles. I can't imagine that that would not make a pretty good top dressing, even for moss to grow on eventually. And it'd be something that you could maintain. Can't be too greedy and grab too many needles at once, I'm finding. It fights back. You get a better feel with your fingers. Oh, this is going to take a really long time. Unless I get some kind of rhythm going. That branch I cut off, I left too much of a stub, I think. Yeah. And this part of the branch. I don't know. The investment I made in this hydraulic table has turned out to be a lifesaver. I bought the table from Harbor Freight. It's a little, I think, 500-pound capacity table. And then I bought a conversion kit from Superfly. All quite expensive. All right, looking up this tree. Nothing much happening down below. This branch, nothing much happening. It has a piece that goes right into the center of the forest, but it's one of the only pieces with life on it. I'm gonna cut it back to a bud on this side and see what happens. Cut this one back as well, create some space. I don't see a bud further, there is a bud further back on there. But it fills in a spot, so I'm gonna leave it. All right, moving up the tree. And it gets progressively easier because the branches are, you know, a little more sturdy as you go up the tree. Larch needle litter. Smells good. Okay, this branch, anything weird happening on it? There's a piece going skyward here. I'm gonna take it back. Okay. Now I've got to look around in here. Okay, there's a branch right here. That's the only thing at this height that has any That's not true. There's a branch right here that has life on it, but this one has no life on it. I mean, this one has life on it. So, there are two branches coming out from the same direction. One is sort of radial, but is dead. And the other one goes off in the wrong direction. If I get rid of that, I'm creating a very big hole. But I think that's what has to happen. Too late now. All right. So, let me work on separating these two now. It's got a bud. It's so hard to see what's going on. All right, so I have to look at the growth on this branch. There's a nice piece of it here, but it's got to go. It's ruining the definition that's being created on this tree. A couple of weeks ago, I didn't even think I would be able to be doing even this much on this forest. I hadn't seen much growth at all. That's a few weeks already. And I was very discouraged. Okay, I just revealed an upward facing branch down lower that I'll get rid of. And another piece of upward facing growth. It definitely adds to the miniature look. Which I want. Here's a dead branch. I'm gonna leave it. Probably didn't mean to cut that off. All right, I'm going to go into fast motion for the rest of the forest, and I'll take you through that fast in editing. So, while I was thinking about the landscape, I was also thinking I have a little drain over here, and the last thing I want to see happen is have all of these larch needles clog the drain first thing. So while I think it would be nice for some larch needles to litter the forest, I think I'd like to limit that. And I'm going to go through and pull out all the needles off the ground. I'm going to do it in as neat a fashion as possible. I guess I could blow them off. Well, that might help. But I don't want to hyperventilate, so I'll do this slowly and off camera. All right, so this is my pruned up, not height-wise, although I did kind of identify new leaders on all the trees. I will be cutting this down further. Some of these trees really need to be exposed to the sunlight, and I will see that that happens. Like I said, I'm not going to be removing these stakes until next season sometime. But thank you once again for keeping me company in my backyard and being a loyal watcher of this channel. That's all I could have ever asked for when I started it, and I'm overwhelmed by the response. So thank you again for keeping me company in my backyard. Good morning and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. I have some sad news to report. My Alberta spruce, the one that I loved so much, the one that had such great potential, has perished. I'm not sure exactly the reason. There was no bug infestation on it. I think it's just that I could have watered it more when I had the chance to. We had some very, very hot days, and I was watering them once a day on an automatic sprinkler. And I kind of knew I should be looking at this closer. I had that suspicion. But look at this collection of needles. There is no doubt there's no life left in this tree. Inside, these are a little soft, but with the apex, and these are a little soft too. I'm ready to take this out of the pot. I mean, okay, so part of it is also the choice of pot. I have another Alberta spruce in a seed tray here that is a very ugly tree if you ask me, but it's doing well. It's got a lot of buds on the apex, and I'm just hoping it continues to do well. It was right next to this one, getting watered the same way, but this pot gets narrower at the bottom, and I'm talking days were close to 100 degrees in the sun, you know, way in the 90s, and I should have watered it in the afternoon, but I just didn't. All the other trees look so lush, and I didn't want to overwater them. So maybe also it was in direct sun, but so was the other one. Whatever the reason, I have one less tree. I've often said, when one tree dies, you've got an extra pot and a reason to go buy another tree. I do want to get a successful, nice looking Alberta spruce, and that's what I thought I had here. Oh well.